It was one of the most devastating disease outbreaks in history, and it caused chaos across Europe. The Black Death did not discriminate, and it hit everyone regardless of how much money they had, where they lived, and what their life was like. We've all seen the images of people covered in lumps, medieval manuscripts portraying the terror of the Black Death. But what made it particularly harrowing was that no one had a clue how to deal with it, and no one understood what caused it. This led to some crazy cures and treatments, but the best chance of survival was to probably cut open the swellings and get rid of the black pus inside of them. Yuck. Right, but everyone knows that it was the rats that caused the Black Death, wasn't it? Well, that's not correct. That wasn't the case, and rats did not cause the Black Death. But what did? The Black Death entered Britain through the port of Weymouth on the south coast of England in 1348, specifically being linked to trading ships that had come from Gascony. Now at school all across England, children are taught that rats crawled off these ships and then ran rampant, biting people all over the port town, and then the people travelled to different towns, coughing and spreading the disease. Well, that's not quite correct, and you may have been told wrong. Rats were linked to the Black Death, and were an incredibly important part in the transmission of the disease, but they were not the cause. The bacteria, Yersinia Pestis, was to blame, and this has been discovered in the graves of those who died from the disease, and this bacteria, Yersinia Pestis, was the true cause of the Black Death. But it wasn't the rats who were initially infected with the bacteria. It was the fleas that actually lived on the rats. So what had happened was that those ships docked in Weymouth, then the rats had run off the boat, but also coming along for the ride were plague-ridden fleas on the back of the rats. The fleas then went on the rampage, jumping off the rats and entering human homes, climbing on clothes, and then running off to infect more and more people. Rats and other rodents helped to spread the disease, but the fleas were the real cause. When the plague-ridden rat died, after it obviously got the disease, then the fleas, who were hungry for more, went looking for other people to bite, and they jumped onto humans as well. Now, as more people caught the plague, they passed on the disease through coughs, droplets in their mucus, and some form of the plague, such as the pneumonic plague, spread through the air. This meant that people caught it by just being in the vicinity of other people. This variant of the plague, the pneumonic one, had a nearly 100% mortality rate, so you certainly did not want to catch that one. At the time, no one knew what the Black Death was. They turned to religious causes or the supernatural, and they blamed people for sinning, thinking God was the cause, and that they were being punished for their behaviour. There were groups of people who even went through towns and cities whipping themselves to apologise to God for what they'd done. Some even looked up to the sky and believed that the alignments of planets caused the plague. The consequences of the Black Death were huge. It's estimated to have killed around 3 million people, just in Britain alone. That's half of the population, and the country was absolutely devastated afterwards. But no one knew exactly what caused it, so they could do little to stop future outbreaks. The plague came back in many years, including a particularly bad bout in 1665, which hit London, and there was at the time no increase in understanding about the causes, even 300 years on from the initial outbreak. It was discovered in the 1800s that germs cause disease, but eventually Alexandra Yersin in 1894 made that key discovery, the bacteria that caused the plague. The link was then made to the fleas. So yes, if you think that rats were what caused the Black Death, I'm really sorry, but you've been taught wrong. They were what helped to transmit the disease, and were a carrier for the fleas, which contained the bacteria Yersinia Pestis, and that was the true cause of the Black Death. This was History of the World. If you've learned something new, click subscribe.